ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः विष्णुपादाय राधिकायै प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्तनारायणिति नामिने श्रीकृष्णलीलाकथने सुदक्षम् औदार्यमाधुर्यगुणैश्युक्तं वरं वरेण्यं पुरुषं महान्तं नारायणं तं शिरसा नमामि। त्रिदण्डिनां भक्तशिरोमणिं च श्रीकृष्णपदाब्जधृतैकरुधिं चैतन्यलीलामृतसारसारं नारायणं तं शिरसा नमामि। जयति जयति नामानन्दरूपं मुरारेर्विरमितधर्मध्यानपूजादियत्नं कथमपि सकृदात्तं मुक्तिदं प्राणिनां यत्परममृतमेकं जीवनं भूषणं मे मधुरमधुरमेतन्मङ्गलं मङ्गलानां सकलनिगमवल्ली सत्फलं चित्स्वरूपं सकृद्विपरिगीतं श्रद्धया हेलया वा भृगुवर्नरमात्रं तारेत् कृष्णनाम स्यात् कृष्णनामचरितातिसितापि विद्या पित्तोपतप्तरसनस्य नरोचिकानो किन्तु आदरात् अनुदिनं खलु सैव जुष्टा साध्वी भवति क्रमात् तद्गतमूलहन्त्री राधाया भवतश्च चित्तजतुनि स्वेदर्विलाप्य क्रमात् युञ्जनद्रिनिकुञ्जकुञ्जरपते निर्धूतभेदभ्रमम् चित्राय स्वयम् अम्बरं जयदिह ब्रह्माण्डहरमोदरे भूयोभिर्नवरागहिङ्गुलभरी शृङ्गारकारकृति। First of all, offer my millions of obeisances to lotus feet of Asmati Guru Pad Padma, Nitila Preshta Jagat Guru Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Narayan Goswami Maharaj Tridendi Swami, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Dandi Maharaj, Namnishta Santa Shri Aniruddhas Prabhuji, and all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who have gathered here to accept my humble obeisances. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Canto 1, Chapter 18, Text 31. एष किं निभृता शेष कर्णो मिलिते क्षणा मृषा समाधिराहोस्त्रिं किं नु क्षत्रबन्धुभिः। एषा this kim whether nibhrita ashesha meditative mood, karanaha senses, milita closed, ikshanaha eyes, mrisha falls, samadhi trance, aho remains sweet if it is so, kim either, nu but, sat maybe, kshatra bandhubi by the lower kshatriya. Upon returning he began to contemplate and argue within himself whether the sage had actually been in meditation with senses concentrated, eyes closed, or whether he had just been feigning trance just to avoid receiving a lower kshatriya. The king, being a devotee of the Lord, did not approve of his own action. Thus he began to wonder whether the sage was really in a trance or was just pretending in order to avoid receiving the king, who was a kshatriya and therefore lower in rank. Repentance comes in the mind of a good soul as soon as he commits something wrong. Srila Vishwanath Thakur and Srila Jiva Goswami do not believe that the king's action was due to his past misdeeds. The arrangement was so made by the Lord just to call the king back home, back to Godhead. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, the plan was made by the will of the Lord, and by the will of the Lord, the situation of frustration was created. The plan was that for his so-called misdeed, the king could be cursed by an inexperienced Brahman boy infected by the influence of Kali, and thus the king would leave his hearth and home for good. His connections with Srila Shukdev Goswami would enable the presentation of the great Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is considered to be the book incarnation of the Lord. This book incarnation of the Lord gives much fascinating information of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, like his Ras Leela with the spiritual cowherd damsels of Brajabhumi. The specific pastimes of the Lord has a special significance because anyone who properly learns about this particular pastime of the Lord will certainly be decided from mundane sex desire and be placed on the path of sublime devotional service to the Lord. The pure devotee's mundane frustration is meant to elevate the devotee to a higher transcendental position. By placing Arjuna and the Pandavas in frustration due to the intrigue of their cousin brothers, the prelude of the battle of Kurukshetra was created by the Lord. This was to incarnate the sound representative of the Lord, Bhagavad Gita. So by placing King Parikshit in an awkward position, the incarnation of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam was created by the will of the Lord. Being distressed by hunger and thirst was only a show, because the king endured much even in the womb of his mother. He was never disturbed by the glaring heat of the Brahmastra released by Ashwatthama. The king's distress condition was certainly unprecedented. The devotees like Maharaj Parikshit are powerful enough to forbear such distresses by the will of the Lord, and they are never disturbed. The situation in this case was therefore all planned by the Lord. Text 32. Tasya putro ati tejasvi viharan balako arvakai Ragyagam prapitam tatam shutva tatredam abravit. Tasya, his, the sons, the sages, putra, son, ati, extremely tejasvi, powerful, viharan, while playing, balakaha, with boys, arvagai, who were all childish, ragya, by the king, agham, distress, prapitam, made to have, tatam, the father, shutva, by hearing, tatra, then, and there, idam, this, abravit, spoke. The sage had a son who was very powerful, being a Brahmana's son. While he was playing with inexperienced boys, he heard of his father's distress, which was occasioned by the king, and then and there the boy spoke as follows. Due to Maharaj Parikshit's good government, even a boy of tender age who was playing with other inexperienced boys could become as powerful as a qualified Brahman. This boy was known as Shrungi, and he achieved good training in brahmacharya by his father, so that he could be as powerful as a Brahmana even at that age. But because the age of Kali was seeking an opportunity to spoil the cultural heritage of the four orders of life, the inexperienced boy gave a chance for the age of Kali to enter into the field of Vedic culture. Hatred of the lower orders of life began from this Brahman boy under the influence of Kali, and thus cultural life began to dwindle day after day. The first victim of Brahminical injustice was Maharaj Parikshit, and thus the protection given by the king against the onslaught of Kali was slackened. Text 33. Aho adharma palanam pivnam balibhujam iva swaminyagam yaddasanam dwarapanam shunam iva. Aho, just look at adharma, irreligion, palanam, of the rulers, pivnam, of one who is brought up, balibhujam, like the crows, eva, like swamini, unto the master, agam, sin, yat, what is, dasanam, of the servants, dwarapanam, keeping watch at the door, shunam, of the dogs. Eva, like the Brahmana's son Shrungi said, oh, just look at the scenes of the rulers who, like crows and watchdogs at the door, perpetrate sins against their masters contrary to the principles of governing servants. The Brahmanas are considered to be the head and brains of the social body, and the Kshatriyas are considered to be the arms of the social body. The arms are required to protect the body from all harm, but the arms must act according to the directions of the head and brain. That is the natural arrangement made by the Supreme Order, for it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that four social orders or castes, namely the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas and the Shudras, are set up according to quality and work done by them. Naturally, the son of Brahmana has a good chance to become a Brahmana by the direction of his qualified father, as the son of a medical practitioner has a very good chance to become a qualified medical practitioner. So the caste system is quite scientific. The son must take advantage of the father's qualification and thus become a Brahmana or medical practitioner and not otherwise. Without being qualified, one cannot become a Brahmana or medical practitioner, and that is the verdict of all scriptures and social orders. Here in Shringi, a qualified son of a great Brahmana attained the required Brahminical power both by birth and by training, but he was lacking in culture because he was an inexperienced boy. By the influence of Kali, the son of a Brahmana became puffed up with Brahminical power and thus wrongly compared Maharaj Parikshit to crows and watchdogs. The king is certainly the watchdog of the state in the sense that he keeps vigilant eyes over the border of the state for his protection and defense. But to address him as a watchdog is a sign of a less cultured boy. Thus the downfall of the Brahminical powers began as they gave importance to birthright without culture. The downfall of the Brahman caste began in the age of Kali, and since Brahmanas are the heads of the social order, all the orders of society also began to deteriorate. This beginning of Brahminical deterioration was highly deplored by the father of Shringi, as we will find. Text 34. Brahmanai kshatra bandhurvhi gruhapalo niropita sakatham tad gruhe dvastha sabhandam bhoktum arhati. Brahmani, by the Brahminical order. Kshatra bandhu, the sons of the Kshatriyas. He certainly, Gruhapala, the watchdog, Nirupitaha, designated, Saha, he, Katham, on what grounds, Tad Gruhe, in the home of him, the master, Dvasthaha, keeping at the door, Sabhandam, in the same pot, Bhoktum, to eat, Arhati, deserves. The descendant of the kingly orders are definitely designated as watchdogs, and they must keep themselves at a door. On what grounds can dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master on the same plate? Question mark. But the inexperienced Brahman boy certainly knew that the king asked for water from his father, and the father did not respond. He tried to explain away his father's inhospitality in an impertinent manner befitting an uncultured boy. He was not at all sorry for the king's not being well received. On the contrary, he justified the wrong act in a way characteristic of the Brahmanas of Kali Yuga. He compared the king to a watchdog, and it was wrong for the king to enter the home of a Brahman and ask for water from the same pot. The dog is certainly reared by its master, but that does not mean that a dog shall claim to dine and drink from the same pot. This mentality of false prestige is the cause of downfall of the perfect social order, and we can see that in the beginning it was started by the inexperienced son of a Brahmana. As a dog is never allowed to enter within the room and hearth, although it is reared by the master, similarly according to Shringi, the king had no right to enter the house of Shamika Rishi. According to the boy's opinion, the king was on the wrong side and not on his father, and thus he justified his silent father. Text 35. Krishne gate bhagavati shastayor pathagaminam tadbhinna setudyaham shasmi pashyatame balam. Krishna, Lord Krishna, Gate, having departed from the world, Bhagavati, the personality of Godhead, Shastari, the supreme ruler, Utvatagaminam, of those who are upstarts, Tadbhinna, being separated, Setun, the protector, Adya, today, Aham, myself, Shasmi, shall punish, Pashyata, just see, may my Balam prowess. After the departure of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead and supreme ruler of everyone, these upstarts have flourished. our protector being gone, therefore I myself shall take up this matter and punish them. Just witness my power. The inexperienced Brahman, puffed up by little Brahman Tejas, became influenced by the spell of Kali Yuga. Maharaj Parikshit gave license to Kali to live in 4 places as mentioned herein before. But by his very expert government, the personality of Kali could hardly find the places allotted him. The personality of Kali Yuga therefore was seeking the opportunity to establish authority, and by grace of the Lord he found a hole in the puffed up, inexperienced son of a Brahmana. The little Brahman wanted to show his prowess in destruction, and he had the audacity to punish such a great king as Maharaj Parikshit. He wanted to take the place of Lord Krishna after his departure. These are the principal signs of upstarts who want to take the place of Sri Krishna under the influence of the age of Kali. An upstart with a little power wants to become an incarnation of the Lord. There are many false incarnations after the departure of Lord Krishna from the face of the globe, and they are misleading the innocent public by accepting the spiritual obedience of the general mass of people to maintain false prestige. In other words, the personality of Kali got the opportunity to reign through the son of a Brahman, Shrungi. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatura Vishnu Kripa Sindhu Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namah. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. 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 Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radha Ramana 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 Hari Bol. Brajanagar Navala Chal Rasiya, Mero Kanha hai mero man basiya, Kare Kalindi Kunja Kidol. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Dai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.